What is going on, guys? Welcome back. This is going to be your Court Domination guide. I'm going to go through all the tips and tricks and everything that I think might help you get through this brand new Court Domination event in NBA SuperCard. Obviously, if you play WWE SuperCard, it's pretty much the exact same thing as Ring Domination. There is a little wrinkle in there, but it doesn't affect the game too much. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it doesn't. But anyways, y'all are gonna have to let me know, what do you think of this event? Do you like it? I personally like it a lot more than WWE SuperCard just because it's faster. It is much faster, so I can certainly appreciate that. Since this is a guide, we might as well start from the very beginning, and that is setting up your deck. So if I go into my deck editor for Court Domination and I hit autofill, this is pretty much going to tell you what deck you can actually start with. What cards can you actually get, because it will put in the best possible cards you have. And so pretty much for everybody, there's really only going to be two choices. Are you in Ruby tier or are you in Sapphire tier? It would not, you could probably get to Emerald or Sapphire tier before this event is even over, I would think. I really don't know, but if you're in Emerald tier for Court Domination, this same exact thing is probably, it's going to apply to you the same exact way. But anyways, looking at my deck, you see that I'm Ruby. So we don't want to go into the event with all of your best cards, and the reason why that is, well, is because they're gonna have a ton of really good cards, and it's gonna make it really difficult on you winning up a lot of the matchups unless you get all of your best cards. These top 6 right here, if I got all of these 6 every single time, then I would feel somewhat good about winning. But if you're the top of Ruby tier, you could possibly get Ruby Pros and other stuff like that. So we want to avoid that. The thing you want to do, whatever tier you're in, you're going to want to sandbag all the way and drop your deck down to as low as you possibly can while still being in that tier. Now, in order for me to do that, I replaced my 2 bottom cards in my Court Domination deck and put in 1 bronze and 1 silver. Now, these are untrained cards. Now, if you put in 2 cards, 2 really bad cards, and it drops your deck down to Sapphire, which it did for me, I actually had to level up one of these cards. Actually, which one did I level up? I had to level up one of the bronzes to level 3 just to get back up into Ruby. So keep that in mind. Do not go more than 2 cards though. Only do 2 cards at the most. You could do 1 if it drops your deck far enough down to the bottom. But most of the time, if you are full bar, you're going to need to drop down 2 cards. If you're in Ruby tier, I would not use Ruby Pros. You do not need to add Ruby Pros, and personally, it's going to take your deck tier too high. You won't be able to drop your deck down far enough in order to get all the way down to the bottom in order to sandbag completely. So yeah, take out those Ruby Pros, put in some Sapphire Pros. You're obviously going to want to use special cards first. So out of all the cards you have, put in your special cards, your winter cards, your Lunar New Year cards, your KD event card, those things like that as Sapphire Pros. These are regular Rubies, which is almost the same exact level as my KD or Sapphire Pros. Next thing you have to consider, well, is position. Since you do get a positional boost for some of the squares on the board that do not repeat, it does not benefit me to have in 2 separate Joel Embiids. Right now I have 2 centers, 2 Lunar New Years, both Joel Embiid, both left arrows. So what I'm going to want to do is take one of those out and put in not only a different position, but a different arrow, because my top 4 cards are all left arrow. You don't want to have the exact same arrow for all of your cards. You're going to want a variety of arrows, a variety of positions. And so how I set it up, I personally have 3 left, 3 right, 2 down, and then my 2 bad cards, I do up arrows. Now, the reason why I set it up this way, well, is because if you want to play it safe, you're going to want to use, I guess, this particular strategy, or this is the strategy that I use. And you could also just put it in, I guess, the correct position throughout the board, and sometimes it really doesn't matter, and we'll do examples of both while we go through. But yeah, as you see, I got a variety of positions, I got a variety of arrows, and I don't have any two positions the exact same card with the exact same thing. My left arrow is center, small forward, power forward, and point guard. My right arrow is small forward, power forward for 2 of them, and then point guard. And then my down, small forward, shooting guard, small forward, shooting guard. Now, obviously, not everybody is going to have every single position of every single arrow, so you got to kind of work with what you got. Another thing to notice is that players that have 2 positions certainly have an advantage because they could be placed into 2 different squares. This KD right here can be placed in the small forward spot to get the small forward boost, or you can be placed in the power forward spot and get the power forward boost. So all players that have 2 positions is definitely more helpful than players that only have 1 position. So try to do a variety of arrows and try to put in all guys that have 2 positions, at least the most that you can. Now that we got the deck down, let's talk about playing the actual game. Well, I am the very bottom of Ruby, and so what you're gonna want to do is try to find an opponent that is in the Sapphire Plus. If your deck is Sapphire, then you're gonna want to look for Emerald Plus. If you are Emerald, I don't know if it goes all the way down to Gold Plus, but if it does, that's going to be what you want to look for. And so to find that, you're just going to, we already have a Sapphire that just popped up, but just to show you, you just back out and back in. Back out, back in. See, it popped up. Now it is Ruby tier. We don't want to face Ruby tiers. The lowest it's going to go, or the lowest that I've noticed it go, is Sapphire Plus 2 tiers below. Like, I guess I'm considering 1 tier as Sapphire Plus Plus, and then Sapphire Plus as the tier below that. So that's the lowest that I've seen. So that's what you're going to want to look for. You're going to back out, back in, back out, back in until you find it. And then we found a Sapphire Plus. So now we're going to play. Now we're going to do the conservative method for the first off, and then we will just do it all willy-nilly and place them in the squares. So just to show you, these 5 squares are always the ones that, at least I've noticed so far, that it picks from as far as getting the boost. The positions, though, do change. So keep that in mind. Positions will definitely change. It's not always point guard up top and center down below. Sometimes it's the opposite and it flip-flops. Sometimes these flip-flop. I've noticed power forward be in the middle like every single time that I can remember. But I think sometimes it's at the bottom of the screen, like it does the court on this half, and so the center's underneath the basket, and then the court will be like at the top, and then the center will be underneath the basket where the point guard is, and then these 2 on the outside will be flip-flopped. So keep those in mind. Your shooting guard and small forward could be left and rights, and your same with point guard and center can be left and rights. I mean, the arrows, as long as you have a variety, really don't matter. Now, because of the fact that I did down arrows, left and right arrows, I'm going to place my worst card right here, down here at the bottom left corner or the bottom right corner, just depending on what cards I have. Now, I have 1 down, I have 2 lefts and 2 rights. So since I have 2 lefts and 2 rights, it's not going to matter which corner I pick. So I'm just going to pick the left side. And now they are going to attack my card and they're going to win. So they're going to take over my bronze, which I don't care about. Because now that I have left arrows and we have a center down here, I am going to pick my left arrow and I'm going to attack the card back. Now I got my boost for being in the center spot. I got my left arrow. I'm going to attack my card, and now it cornered off the card, so now it can't be attacked again. So I'm going to keep that bronze card as my card, and now the only card that he could beat me with is putting it in a power forward position or a point guard position. Now from this point on, you can do one of 2 things. You can either play you know, like this down arrow right here to where you know you're going to keep it. Or you could try to go for a little more risky and get bonuses by putting the cards in these spots right here. It's going to kind of be just up to you depending on what arrows you have and what you want to use. Now, personally, since you do drop down decks, it really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to put it right there. He's going to have one of these two. I still have a point guard, 2 point guards. So I'm going to put one of them right there. And then we're going to be left with a small forward to put right there. So easy win. Not really a problem. We got our boost. But if you start in one of the corners and set your deck up to where you have left, rights, and downs, you could start in one of the bottom lefts or bottom rights every single time and kind of play it safe and know that you're going to get that extra card and start with 2 instead of risking it and placing it somewhere and then thinking you might get attacked somewhere and not be able to take the card back. As far as picking the shards go, you cannot go into quick game and stack up your picks and think that you're going to have all of these picks for this event. It doesn't work like that. What you can do, if you feel like it, is after you complete a game, you can force quit it. Like right now, I have 5 picks left. I can force quit it and then play another game, and then my picks will stack onto those 5 only. Not the other draft board, but this draft board is different. So you could keep stacking picks as long as you're playing Court Domination over and over again. So sometimes I like to do that because it goes by faster sometimes if you have like 40 picks, or at least it feels like it goes by faster when you have 40 picks. I don't really follow any sort of strategy when it comes to how I pick on the draft board. I just pick random cards. It really doesn't matter to me. I just pick whoever. So let's try the other method now, which is just placing the cards in the positional boost. And I'll show you what I do for that. Now again, you want to back out, back in until you find a plus deck, either Sapphire Plus or Emerald Plus, and then you're going to play that. So we're going to go into here. Now this is going to be more of a, I don't know, like a thinking game in which you always got to make sure that the last card, because you're going to go last in this event. And so you're always going to have to remember that you are probably going to have a bad card like this one, and it's an up arrow. So you're always going to want to leave the board open to where this up arrow either goes off the board, like up here, or if I have to place it in one of these other squares, that the up arrow is going to face a card that I have, because obviously if I place an up arrow as the last card and it goes against the AI, I'm going to lose that matchup, and so I'm going to try to avoid that at all costs. Now, if I don't care about necessarily strategy, what I do not want to do is place the power forward in the middle, because if I do that, then that gives them 4 bonuses they could use to attack me. So what I do is I place it in one of the outside positions to where they only have 1 card that they can use to attack me with. So let's see what we got. We got point guard Damian Lillard. I'm just going to put him right there at the top spot. Now he had a center and he put it in the middle, which is awesome because he didn't get the boost, didn't get the bonus. And the center position is still available there. So I'm going to put in, say, my KD. We'll put that in, and then we'll just attack. And each card, I'm going to just try to get the bonuses. Just try to place the card on the square. And out of all day today, I have found that it works out. I really don't have to use the strategy. I just have to place the cards every once in a while. They will have a really good card, and they will try to attack me, and I might lose, but most of the time it does not happen like that. We got a shooting guard right there. We're good. Now they filled up the center spot. They did get the boost there. So now we look at what cards I have left over, where I have this up arrow that I can either place here or here last or here. So it's not going to matter where I put my last cards. I could have tried to attack this to get the full bonus. to get all 9, but I'm not worried about that. That is one thing that, if you haven't noticed, if you get all 9 squares, if you have all 9 squares in control, you do get a bonus pick. So instead of getting 4, you get 5. I don't ever try to get that, just because at some point they have to attack somebody and they have to lose, and you have to have the perfect arrows in the very end. And it just usually never works out, so I just never bother doing it. I just try to get through that games as fast as possible, just to make it that much easier for me. Pick doubler. We got the Goran Dragic for the Ruby card, which is pretty cool. Too bad he's not in a Phoenix jersey, though. Anyways, guys, I hope this helped, and I hope that it made sense on how to do this event. Now, normally, I usually don't go for the strategy of putting the lowest card in the corner, but you can do that if you want to play it safe. And I just don't bother doing it, because I have found, out of all the games that I've played so far, completing the very first deck, doing the WWE ring domination, you just most of the time don't have to play like that. You only have these crappy cards in here to sandbag your deck so you can play the lower tiered cards. So again, we got the exact same positions: point guard, center, power forward. These are pretty much the same thing, so I'm just going to start off the exact same way. We got the point guard. They do have the power forward there, and they're going to try to beat me with rebounding. This is good, actually. This is nice that it did this. Every once in a while, something like this happens where it does cheese, and they get their power forward, and it just so happens they get the only stat that they could beat me in, which is rebounding. So that's fine. I mean, we will certainly learn how to beat it, but this is what we're going to want to do. So now that we know that both of these cards are going to be unbeatable for me, I suppose I could try to take my KD right here and get a boost, but if it gets rebounding again, we probably won't beat them. But let's just try it. We got 130. We're gonna be what, 6 short if it just lands on rebounding by itself. Let's try it. If it does land on rebounding again, we know that the game is definitely rigged. Offense and rebounding. Okay. That is hilarious, but we still ended up winning anyway, just because all the other stats that we have are certainly much better than what they got. So even if you do start off and you do lose a matchup, you do have other cards that you can use to attack and certainly win from. We have a center. We do not. So let's just place all the cards on all the other spots. It's okay if they attack that. It doesn't matter. All we need is 5 cards. So I just don't even worry about trying to seal it off. Makes no difference to me. So they're going to win that. We put in that card. And last card there. And we win. So really not bad. The only reason why that was even close to a matchup is because it just so happened they picked the only stat randomly that it would have been able to beat my card in, which was rebounding by itself. It almost did it the second time in a row too by picking rebounding again, but good thing it had offense and defense. But either way, so far I've only lost 1 single game. I've lost 1 game out of all the ones that I've played, and probably played, I don't know, maybe close to 30, 35, something like that. So it does work. And this is what I use in WWE SuperCard. And it gets pretty easy after you do it a bunch of times. So anyways, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully it did help. Hopefully it helps you set up your deck properly. Just practice a little bit. You'll start to see and get the hang of it. And yeah, good luck in the event. Hopefully I see everybody on the next stream, and I will see y'all again soon. Y'all take it easy. I am out. Peace.